Game of Thrones remains one of the most iconic television series in history, yet its legacy is complicated. What began as a richly layered fantasy drama with political intrigue and slow-burning character arcs eventually stumbled into rushed plots and divisive endings. While many fans blame Season 8 for the show's downfall, a closer rewatch reveals that the seeds of decline were planted much earlier. The shift didn't happen all at once, but there is a clear moment when Game of Thrones changed direction, and not for the better. When the story outran its source. The early seasons of Game of Thrones closely followed George R.R. Martin's sprawling fantasy saga, A Song of Ice and Fire. The first 5 seasons adapted Martin's novels with impressive fidelity, building tension through careful pacing, brutal character deaths, and morally complex storylines. However, after Season 5, the show outpaced the published novels. With no completed source material to rely on, the writers, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, had to forge their own path, guided only by Martin's outlines and loose narrative goals. The tipping point came with Season 5, Episode 10, Mother's Mercy. This finale marked the last time the show was firmly rooted in Martin's text. The episode ends with Jon Snow's shocking betrayal and apparent death at Castle Black, a cliffhanger pulled directly from A Dance with Dragons, the most recent book in the series. After this moment, the narrative foundation became much shakier. Season 6, The Turning Point. While Season 6 still had its moments, such as the emotionally devastating The Door, which revealed Hodder's tragic origin, this was also when the storytelling began to feel different. Gone was the political complexity and intricate plotting that defined earlier seasons. In their place were grand spectacle, faster pacing, and a growing focus on fan service. To be fair, Season 6 includes some of the show's most visually stunning scenes, like Battle of the Bastards and the explosive destruction of the Great September of Baelor. But even then, character decisions began to feel more convenient, and plot armor became noticeably thicker. Viewers who were once shocked by the show's ruthlessness began to notice that the main characters rarely faced serious consequences. Still, the final episode of Season 6, The Winds of Winter, stands as the last truly great installment of the series. With Cersei's cold-blooded seizure of power, Jon Snow's rise as king in the north, and Bran's visions of Jon's Targaryen heritage, the episode masterfully ties together major threads. It felt momentous, but it also marked the beginning of the end. Season 7, where it truly fell apart. Although the rot began in Season 6, Season 7 is where it became undeniable. The pacing accelerated dramatically. Characters zipped across Westeros in a matter of hours. Massive battles occurred with little build-up. Logic and strategy, once the show's hallmarks, were replaced with contrived coincidences and cinematic set pieces. Character arcs suffered too. Jon Snow, once introspective and morally conflicted, began making baffling decisions. Tyrion's wit and cunning gave way to empty speeches and failed plans. Daenerys' transformation from liberator to tyrant felt hurried, and her chemistry with Jon never quite clicked. For a show that had once prided itself on slow-burn storytelling, the shift to blockbuster pacing was jarring. The absence of Martin's voice. A significant reason for the drop in quality was the absence of George R.R. Martin's narrative depth. The earlier seasons thrived on the weight of history, the ambiguity of morality, and the unpredictability of war. Once the writers moved beyond the books, these elements faded. Even when the show included Martin's major planned twists, such as Jon Snow's parentage or Hodder's fate, the execution often felt rushed or emotionally unearned. Martin's influence was still present in key moments, but without the detailed character work and world-building of the novels, the adaptation lacked cohesion. The complex web of alliances, betrayals, and personal vendettas became simplified into a binary struggle between good and evil, a far cry from the show's original moral ambiguity. The final season, a beautiful collapse. By the time Season 8 arrived, expectations were sky-high. Fans hoped for a conclusion that would honor the series' early brilliance. What they got was a visually stunning yet narratively hollow finale. Daenerys' descent into tyranny happened in an episode and a half. Bran's coronation as king was both anticlimactic and unsupported by previous storytelling. And Jon Snow's punishment, exile to the Night's Watch, felt like a reversion, not a resolution. In retrospect, the finale didn't destroy Game of Thrones. It merely confirmed its long decline. The heart of the show had begun to erode after Mother's Mercy. Every season thereafter drifted further from what made the series compelling.